Whoa, welcome back everyone to Merge Conflicts, your weekly developer podcast talking about all things in the world of development. Happy December, Frank Kruger.
It happened. We're in the winter of 2025 already. That was a fast fall, James. I feel like fall came and then winter came faster.
It's gone. Boom. It's good to go. I hope you had happy holidays here, Thanksgiving in the States or wherever maybe you're
Yeah.
celebrating any other holidays in the world. But I am now in Seattle, actually, but I'm not because we pre-recorded this way before the holidays. So I was on a holiday. But Frank and I are definitely hanging out with Heather either today and or Wednesday, whatever day Frank is crossing the water in December because it's totally on his calendar.
It is. It is. Calendars are good for things that I mostly ignore until the night before, and then I'm like, "Oh my god, I got to do what tomorrow?" I'm sure that has happened, and it'll be a really fun hanging out with you and Heather, as it always is.
As it should be. That's right. Well, I'm super excited because last week it was supposed to be a lightning topic, but then we talked about Swift for an hour, and I'm still debugging a bunch of Swift stuff. But this
As is
week,
the way with Swift. That's what
yes,
happens.
this week no Swift, but swiftly getting onto our lightning topics.
Lightning?
Frank. Yeah, lightning.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
It's been a while. I feel like it's been at least 10 episodes since we did a lightning topics.
Yeah, it's been at least 10, maybe 11, some per se. I want to start off with some AI, a little bit AI-ish. Following up on our .NET 10 episode, we talked a little bit about Aspire 13, and we went into a little bit of detail about Aspire. But one of the really cool things that the Aspire team did in the most recent release is that they integrated an MCP server, a model context protocol server, into the Aspire dashboard. Now, previously, there was GitHub Copilot integration on the dashboard. So you go to the dashboard, go and hit a Copilot button, and you could say, tell me the status of my stuff, go find errors, go diagnose the logs, and it would give you a summary of like what to fix, maybe in the code and other things like that. But now there's an MCP server that you can connect to anything, or like, for example, VS Code or Visual Studio, and in real time extract logs and information and resources directly into your coding agent, which is wild.
Dear ChatGPT, why is my bill $10,000 a month? Something like that. Why is my response time 30 milliseconds, not 8 milliseconds? Yeah, that's fun. This gets back to what we were saying since the beginning of every app should also just be an MCP server. I hope we'll get there someday.
No, it was really neat. So a good use case for this was I was building a new app, as one does, and I was building like this app for like team updates, and I have a React front end and I have a .NET back end, and I integrated open telemetry into everything. I was getting all these logs and all these things, and it has SignalR in it doing real-time updates across the wire. And I started to integrate in the back end services, and some things weren't updating. And like, sure enough, I was like, hey, go look at the logs for the front end and the back end. And it was like, oh, cool. Yeah, I clearly see the issue now. I was like looking at the logs, like the logs say this, and it did this. It was like, oh, it looks like it sent successful. The back end got it, but the front end didn't, like, wasn't able to detail. Oh, because it was like this thing. And basically I was able to see all of the traces in real time to understand, oh, the back end is working correctly. The front end is working. The reason that this is important, Frank, is because the LLM can look at your code and it can assume, oh, yeah, the back end's working. Oh, the front end's working. But in this case, it can actually see that the things are being called as well, which is really, really neat. Instead of just looking at like logs, it was looking at the actual traces of telemetry, which is wild.
Oh, you just made me think someone needs to, I'm sure someone already has like an GDB and LLDB MCP, so it can just be like, yeah, you may think you know how my app is working, but here's a debugger, prove that it's actually working that way. No, that's cool. Yeah, you can't beat a trace, especially when you're doing distributed programming. My God, if you want to go insane, write a distributed app. That's the easiest way to go insane, and it is funny because like the AIs were kind of operating with one hand tied behind their back because we humans, we could always get those traces, but the poor things couldn't. That's fun. I like it. I do believe every app should just be an MCP server, though. So I hope this is just a sign of the future to come.
Kind of cool. Yeah, I kind of like that. Like in some general sense, it's like when I'm debugging my app, I have all these logs and stuff. Yeah, just go pull the logs and look at the thing. Like it instead of it having to
Hmm.
like find and maybe where those logs are at or figure it out. Like, yeah, if it just was looking at my debug profiling session in real time, like go figure that out. That'd be really neat. Anyways, I just thought it was like really cool that it was just there and there's just an MCP button in the top right. And it's like, here you go. And I was like, cool. I was like, let's go. So
But
yeah,
it's not
really
just
neat.
for debugging, right? It's also just it's for like um I guess you could get like actual stats, but then you'd have to be running a workload against it. But it seems like it's more powerful than just debugging since that dashboard has so much in it.
Yeah, you could use it to be like, oh, like, hey, I just did this thing, like do an analysis of like the performance and blah, 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 like the last 10 traces and blah, blah,
Hmm.
blah, like XYZ, like, did, and do this and that and blah, blah, blah. And like you could have that. You could also do that inside, right? Like inside of the dashboard, there's the Copilot button to say, oh,
Okay.
like go analyze the thing. So it really depends on what you want to do with it. However, you could bring it in and say, oh, generate a report, generate a thing, document this thing,
Hmm.
blah, 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 right? Like snapshot it, do a thing, blah, blah, blah. So you could ask it more follow up questions or like have it generate documentation or generate information from you or take it and put it into any other format, right? And be like, hey, put that in a markdown file and then like bring it into ChatGPT or something and then do something else with it, right? So there's
Hmm.
and it's not just in your agent, you could bring it into other LL or other
Yeah.
AI applications that support MCP too, right? So kind of neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always have to ask with these things. So is this Aspire running a server, so kind of the remote MCP, or is this a local MCP where it's talking to a process? It's a little behind the curtain. It probably doesn't matter in the end. I'm just always curious how these
It
things work.
is local. So just running locally on your machine.
Local process stuff. Okay,
Hmm.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I I always wonder because like you hear MCP servers in the weirdest places. I'm like, what's the transport protocol? Like, how are they actually doing that?
Yeah.
Just the weird engineer in me is always wondering.
This one actually is using HTTP protocol, but streaming HTTP. But I was talking to Fowler, and he said like maybe they'll change it to standard IO just to make
Oh,
it
really?
easier to use, basically. And it just is all in C sharp, so it's just using the C sharp
Yeah.
SDK. So yeah, which is cool. Just exposing it. Boom.
Turns out you can do more than just monkeys with that
Can do
SDK.
more than just my yeah. To me, it was like real time stuff. Well, talking about AI, let's get more AI stuff. The week in which we're recording this, the AI model lords above
Mm,
descended upon us. New GPTs, 5.1,
ooh,
5.1
right.
Codex, 5.1 Codex Mini
Okay.
onto it. And the Google lords also decided to descend down
Oh,
a new Gemini 3.0 onto the dance floor this week.
that's at least one better than the last Gemini, right? No,
It's point 0.5 better,
oh,
in
it's only
fact.
point 0.5 better. Okay.
Yeah.
I I'm actually pretty excited for the Gemini because they released some stats, which not everyone does. Like OpenAI is really notoriously bad at this, of showing actual benchmarks that they ran this on. All the normal benchmark rules apply. You know, benchmarks aren't always representative of the real world, but Gemini 3 is kicking some butt. And I wanted to bring up a specific benchmark that I pay attention to because I've coded my own AIs against it. It is the Arc AGI uh, benchmark. They're doing Arc AGI too, whatever, same difference. Um, it's a hard one. It's hard, James. It gives you these like little graphical puzzles. It'll give you like two examples of solving the puzzle, and then it'll give you a third one and be like, solve that. Good luck, buddy. And I'll tell you what, as a human being person, I'm lucky if I'm able to solve a quarter of them. Some of them are hard. Some of them are trivially easy. Others are hard, and most AIs score very poorly on it. It's a very difficult benchmark, and the Gemini Pro, I I, I should say first, Gemini 2.5, so the old one that was zero point 0.5 worse, scored a 5% on the test.
Yeah.
So I assume that means it got 5% correct on the test. The new Gemini 3, which is supposedly only 0.5 better, scores 31%. That's huge. Like, I'm not sure I can score 31% on this stupid thing. So that's really cool. A lot of the other benchmarks, the benchmarks are just kind of interesting to look through in general. Like, there's benchmarks on how much money does it make if it's given these scenarios and things like that. But that's a benchmark I pay attention to, the ARC AGI one. And it's really impressive to see a general purpose AI get up to 31%. There are specific AIs written to beat that benchmark that can do better, but those are handwritten, artisanal networks.
I've
So
been
I think that's pretty cool. I don't know if that applies to anything in the real world, but it impresses me.
Yeah. And it has impressed me so far. I've been using it in Copilot, GitHub Copilot and VS Code. And I have heard from people that it's very good at UI. So it is
Oh,
building UIs that are less AI than normal. And our good friend Burke Holland on X did a side by side comparison. I'll put a link to this tweet, I think, that he did. But he did a fun side by side. I'll at least show it to you that's in here. And it was pretty cool. He had like, here's the one that Claude 4 or whatever for his personal blog did. And then he asked it to do a few different ones in Gemini 3. And it came up with pretty good UI, very different. I think he asked it for different styles, you know what I mean? And asked it for different mocks. And it did
mm-hmm.
different variations of split magazine. It did a playful masonry, and then it did a cyberpunk terminal theme, basically. And that's pretty good. It's actually really, really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because one of the examples is Claude, and it looks like, yeah, whenever you say dress up a website, it seems like they all choose blue, purple gradients everywhere. It's
Yeah.
going to be the look of AI, so it's nice to see it can actually change its style. Of course, you got to prompt it. Kind of
Yep.
always got to prompt these things, but it's nice to see it doing different styles. It's that creativity part that
It
they're always
is.
so bad at.
Well, I said, hey, go to MCP badge.dev. And I said, I want you to like, here's the code. Like, I want you to make it look less AI and like some nice touches. And it fixed up the UI like a little bit, not too crazy, but it added a nice like sticky header title on
Okay.
it, like just kind of normal badges, like pretty nice. And it redid a bunch of other things for me. That was pretty good. And it uses thinking as well, pretty good. I don't know. I don't know if I'll use it forever, but it's always fun to try new models. But it is day one, at least when we're trying it. So it's always like, how's it going to work? But I'm
Yeah.
going to try to use it for design, I think, now and see how it goes. Why not? It's there.
Yeah, I personally don't do that stuff enough. Do you remember many podcasts ago you challenged me to send my blog to an AI and just be like, "Hey, make this look better." And you're like, "It's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic." I did
Yeah.
that for my blog. Oh my god, it created the trashiest website I'd ever seen in my whole life.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
there were some good elements to it. Like there were a few things like maybe I will steal and adopt in the future, but the overall thing, I was just like, you took my perfect typography that I spent a lot of time really nailing and just threw it all out the window and did
Oh,
such a
no.
trash job. But that was a while ago, and I don't even remember which network I was using that on. But I am willing, because I am a scientist, to repeat the experiment using the Gemini 3 and see if it does any better. I'd be curious.
Yeah, I'd be curious as well. Um, yeah, just kind of interesting new models and like what they're doing. It was a big splashy launch. And with it came a new IDE. We have a whole new IDE, Frank. I didn't play around with it, so you're the only
Oh,
one that has played
are you
around with
talking
it and
about?
knows anything.
And yeah, so we are talking about the Google anti-pattern. No, the anti-knowledge. No, it's the anti-gravity for no reason. I don't know why it's called anti-gravity. The icon's an A and it almost looks like a little spaceship. I don't
Hmm.
know. I don't get it. It's a new agentic programming thing. And by that, I mean, that means absolutely nothing to me. But its big claim to fame seems to be it just has really good browser integration. So when you're asking it to develop a web
Hmm.
app, it's able to control Chrome or whatever and take screenshots, run unit tests, and that kind of stuff. That seems to be its biggest benefit, which is not really a benefit to me. I write native apps and mobile apps, so I could really don't care about the Chrome integration of these things. I gotta say, it's always good. I want to see technology advance, and we're taking those baby steps, advancing IDEs. But this is yet another one of those VS Code forks that changes a few things. It's more VS Code than it is not VS Code, and by that I mean like the project system is VS Code, the editor is VS Code, the terminal is VS Code, all the ways you interact with it, the settings, the extensions, all that stuff, VS Code. Google just added some extensions, but felt the need to fork VS Code for whatever reason and rebrand it slightly. I feel like I'm being a little bit of a pessimist. I just don't get it. I don't get this world of you built a new IDE, but you didn't. You just copy and pasted someone else's IDE and changed a few colors. I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, they have a very fancy website, antigravity.google. On it, it's
Mm-hmm.
fascinating because they call it an IDE, and not a code editor.
Sure.
Those are fighting words. IDE versus non IDE. Like, I think
Sure.
Visual Studio 2026 IDE, integrated development environment, VS Code, code editor. They're pretty specific with their words, I think, for a reason.
I, if I could step outside of your bubble just for a moment,
Go
that's a
ahead.
Microsoft problem.
Is
That's
it?
because they have two products.
Ah.
VS Code became an IDE long time ago.
Yeah, but no,
It,
no, 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 no. Google has Android Studio. They have IDX. They have
yeah,
Firebase Studio. They have a bunch of
sure.
they have a bunch of things. No.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, Google. Well, Google creates an IDE every other month, so
Hmm.
who knows what they have. Um, yeah, the line in the sand is not so strong. I'll just say that it's a much blurrier line than it used to be. So I don't have any problem with them calling it an IDE.
Okay.
It's an IDE.
All right.
It's more
That's
full
fine.
featured than I use Visual C++ 3.0. It's more of an IDE than that ever was. It has more features, so it's just where you want to draw that line. But I will draw the line at they just copied VS Code and changed a few colors and a few system prompts.
It's fascinating. I obviously work at Microsoft. So I can't be too opinionated on it because I'm still, not on the clock, but
Slightly biased.
slightly biased. Yeah, it's really fascinating as you look at the world of different editors and code things out there as well, and the different parts. And I mean, it's really cool that VS Code is this platform that allows people to build on top of it and into it, right? I mean, that's the beauty of open source in a way. I think like at GitHub Universe is really fascinating, like how the VS Code team is opening up so many more APIs for AI companies to integrate, right? Not only bring your
Mm.
own keys, so inference providers like Cerebras, for example, can easily add in, or Open Router or anyone else can use and easily add in through their extensions. Now we talked about like OpenAI Codex, for example. You can see alongside all the Copilot sessions. You can log in with your Copilot account, get billed that way, which is really neat if you like that experience and that UI for extensions. I imagine like how many of these things start is like, hey, like what if we created a closed ecosystem? Like this is an
Yeah.
ecosystem that's here now. Inherently, you can run terminal, you can do stuff. So you could run Claude code inside this thing, and you could
Hmm.
run whatever. You run Copilot CLI. It doesn't matter, right? It just is there. But more of a closed ecosystem to say, hey, this is like our AI technology, and it's going to close you and lock it into this, and that is one way of doing it, right? Like Visual Studio 2026, 2022 is a closed ecosystem, right? It's a closed source IDE, right? In general,
Hmm.
has many power features into it that are closed source, which is one route to go. And the VS Code is completely different, right? It's all the AI integrations are open source now too, including code completion and
I,
tabbing too.
I,
It's kind of
I,
fascinating.
I don't want to turn this into a VS Code lightning topic, but
No.
that's super cool. And we did a little bit of a deep dive with the chat integration, the agent integration with VS Code, and they did finally release #finally the actual code completion stuff, the tab completion stuff, and I hope we'll actually do a episode on that maybe because I've been really excited to dig into that and see exactly how they choose what information is going to the servers and coming back and how that integrates because I think the tab completion maybe a few months ago significantly improved. The user interface for tab completion in VS Code significantly improved. So it'll be fun to dive into that code and good on Microsoft for actually releasing that code.
Yeah, they're going for it. That's the whole idea. And then I think that's like, one of the core benefits of it, in a way of like being this ID or this code editor that is this platform that you can build upon. Now, that does kind of mean that you're building the base. So like, you know, where's the balance where you're able to innovate versus others are innovating on top of you? So
Yeah.
it's like a hard challenge as well. So I think that, you know, I haven't tried the anti-gravity stuff. I was really, I look at Cursor and Windsurf. There's at least uniqueness to the branding and the
Hmm.
theming and stuff. There's a few other forks that are out there, and I look at them and I'm like, I was squinting and I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, is this VS? It's like, is it VS Code? And actually, to a detriment, the problem that I can see is the amount of clones and things that are built on top of it can be detrimental at some point, right? If you have Coca-Cola and you have a bunch of
Mhm.
other things that are colas,
You cannot have
um,
my RC Cola. No.
Coca-Cola would be very upset at you if your Coca-Cola looks exactly like and even tastes very
Fair.
similar, right?
Yeah.
Like now, if you have RC Cola and you have these other colas and Pepsi and all these other things, like they're allowed to coexist together, but and they're inherently cola, but the branding and the theme, like you can distinguish the look and feel of Coke
Yeah.
and Pepsi very differently, and they did move the profile to the top right, which I kind of like up there. Maybe yeah, it's kind of nice, but
Where Visual
bottom
Studio
left.
has it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I just wish they spent a little more time differentiating themselves because, that's famous Steve Jobs thing of like, this is a feature, not a company. I'm
Mm,
like, isn't this an extension, not an IDE? Like, could they do everything that they're doing with just a VS Code extension? But obviously, there's business and business politics reasons and synergy reasons why they did not, and they decided
yeah.
to release their own IDE. But if you're gonna go there, like, hire a graphic designer for a month and just dress it up a little, like Googleify it a little bit.
Yeah.
This feels like someone just did a git clone and changed a few strings.
I know it's not a meme, but if you love it, let us know. Right into the show if you've been definitely checking out. I haven't checked it out enough, so I can't really
Yeah,
unbiased give hands on. It just came out today from when we're recording. It's not been a few weeks, right? So, but
sure.
yeah, let us know what you think.
I will say they're giving out free access to all the models, and I think that that's a very smart way to get adoption if you just give people a bunch of free stuff. so smart for Google for doing that, but part of me wonders if they just didn't have time to set up the business model for it either.
Hmm. That is a
Mm.
good point. Yeah, I'll put it out. We'll figure out how to charge for it later. That's
Classic,
one way to do it.
classic web development.
That is one way to do it. Oh my gosh.
Well, you know what
What
else is new
what
out
else
there,
is new?
James?
I'm
What's
ready.
new? This is a little bit old. But we just didn't get a chance to talk about it. These humanoid robot things, James. They
Oh
just won't
God.
go away. We all want our Lieutenant Commander data, and we are gonna keep working at it until we all have a little robot housekeeper or butler or something. I don't want to say what it actually is. We're gonna keep working on these humanoid robots, and there's a new one out there, and it's cute. It's covered in fabric. It has a funny looking butt, but it's the 1X Neo home robot. James, can you believe that people are still working on humanoid robots? Like, I get it. I'm an engineer. I like robots. We all think about bipedal motion and how fun and interesting it is because that's what we humans do. And
Yep.
there's obviously advantages to using two legs and two arms, but there's a lot of disadvantages too. You know, if nature could develop a motorized wheel, I think there would be some animals with motorized wheels on their feet. But instead, so there's a new one out there, the Neo Home Robot. It's cute. It can turn switches on and off and pick up glasses. What do you think? What do you think of the new 1X Neo Home Robot?
This was super fascinating. It was everywhere on the internet. There were CNETs, there was MKBHD videos. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Well, it's the Jetsons' dream, right?
Yeah.
It is our, we talked.
She had wheels on her feet though.
She did have wheels on her feet. We talked about HandyBot. Remember HandyBot that could like load your
No, I'd
dishes
actually already
and do
forgotten
stuff.
about HandyBot.
HandyBot from Samsung.
Okay.
I think we have little robots cleaning our house. Well, we don't, but you do. Cutting your
Mhm.
lawn.
Yeah.
I think that this isn't going to go away. I think that the idea of it sounds great. I think I'm going to say I think a lot. I had
Yeah.
someone
It's fine.
emailed me and they're like, "We looked at your transcript and you say I think a lot." And I was like, "Well, I think that this is happening." So my other thought is that I don't know if the humanoid aspect of it is really what people are looking for in general. I do believe that HandyBot and these little other robots that are a little bit more purposeful, that can be fine tuned, make a lot of sense. The comfort level, there's an uncanny valley aspect of it, which is odd. I think that this robot does look pretty cool and that they did a pretty good job of making it human-esque, but not overly human. And the fabric also looks very nice. The downside to most of this, and I'm sure maybe you've watched some videos, is that none of it is real. It's all just like it can do a few things. It can like answer the
Yeah.
door, kind of. But what they literally have is somebody with the goggles on that can
Yeah.
remote in to the robot and then move it around and do stuff. Now it's obviously early prototype and things like that, but it's gonna be like
Right.
$20,000, down the road. So it's super early days, but it's using all this AI things and all this other stuff with it. But it's cool. I like the idea of it, in general, to do some stuff. But I want it to be smaller. Like I don't want another
Oh,
human
funny.
in my house, I guess.
Yeah, it's a little awkward, isn't it? But you actually hit on some points that I wanted to talk about. Um, so when we talk about a robot, there's actually two things happening. We're talking about the hardware. Does it have like grippers? How does it move around? How big and small is it?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a whole nother thing called the intelligence and the capabilities of that robot. There, to say, put it simply, there's the software and the hardware. And I find the hardware is very fascinating because bipedal motion isn't just difficult from a balancing standpoint. There's a power issue involved. Like our muscles are really strong. In order to walk and especially run, and to just be able to be fluid at all, smooth, you need very strong motors. And I think that the actual mechanism that they developed is pretty nice. They're really high torque motors, they're really beautiful, powerful motors, and they're simulating muscles with ropes, which is always just kind of fun when we have big pulleys doing everything inside of the robot. It's a fun solution to a rigid robot where you're using gears. Gears can't slip. Ropes can bend and twist and things like that. So there's a compliance that's allowed with that physical body. So yeah, right now, basically they have a really cool piece of hardware. They haven't solved the software problem. No one solved the software problem yet. I mean, Boston Dynamics still writes custom scripts for opening a door, for going upstairs. These are all custom scripts. They really nailed the technology. It can self balance, but it can't self anything else.
Mm.
The Tesla Optimus, same thing. It's a little questionable. Maybe they've slightly more intelligent, but they don't really release any papers, so no one knows. So what I think we're seeing right now is a lot of people have figured out the hardware. Battery technology has gotten good enough, motor technology has gotten good enough, but the software is greatly lagging behind. Everyone keeps saying AI powered because that's all we talk about now are agents and AI, and agents and AI are pretty good at generating HTML, but they're really bad at making a robot interact with the world. They just are, and we're not there yet. So
Yeah.
I find that all fascinating. And the $20,000 price tag, I don't think is actually too crazy because that stupid like little Boston Dynamics dog thing is like 12 or 14 grand. And that's so much smaller and so much easier to build than these humanoid robots. But $20,000 for something that doesn't do anything, no, complete waste. But I'm still excited for all the reasons I just outlined.
Yeah, I think so too. Um, yeah, I think it's going to be someday we'll have more things in our house doing specific things, but more general things, that's also going to happen too. Like it's going to happen at some point, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, let's escape the real world and
Hmm.
go into the virtual world.
Like
There's a
people
new
do for the X1R thingy in general. They have to. They got to strap on a headset.
That's funny actually. Yeah, that's a real mixed mode reality, isn't it? That's the avatar style. Yeah, maybe we'll do that. Maybe the Frank avatar can come visit you with his funny little butt walking around your house. I want to talk about something super cool, I think. Maybe it's just me because I don't know if anyone else cares. There's a little hardware device out there called the Vision Pro. Have you heard of it?
I have heard of the Vision Pro and the Vision Pro 2025 edition using even newer processors that we've talked
Oh,
about.
we don't talk about that one. Who
Oh,
cares about
okay, not that one.
that one? There's a funny as in sad part about the Vision Pro. When it first came out, Vision OS 1.0, so the original OS, oddly enough, it could not run WebVR content. So, WebVR, WebXR, these are APIs that have been developed for the web, specifically so that in the JavaScript and the OpenGLs and all that kind of stuff, you can write VR applications on a website. It's super
Hmm.
cool. You might have seen this in YouTube or something like that. You go to a website, playing a video or something, there might be a little VR button if you're wearing a VR headset, you can click that and then all of a sudden whoa, it's 3D, or at least it's 360, or it's something like that.
Whoa.
It's a little more immersive. Whoa, it just happens. It's super cool. But the stupid Vision OS didn't support that. Apple.
Come on,
So there
Apple.
was all this web content out there that you just couldn't consume. Thankfully, a year ago, Apple fixed that. And with Vision OS 2.0, you could now consume WebXR content. So thank you,
Ah.
Apple. They finally opened up the internet to all that stuff. But I'm not sure if you're aware, but there's another web technology out there called WebGPU. And WebGPU is the new way to program, go figure, GPUs on the web. The old way was with WebGL, web graphics. That basically copied the OpenGL API.
Mm.
But OpenGL is a little bit long in the tooth now. I mean, Apple deprecated it like 5 or 10 years ago, like a
Yeah.
long time ago. It just WebGL, its API surface just doesn't match how modern GPUs work anymore. And I feel a little bit bad because if you want to learn graphics programming, you have to learn pretty complicated APIs these days, GPU APIs. But there's reasons for it, and it's just a harder task. Anyway, all that said, a really cool feature came to Safari 26.2. Did you know that there is a 26.2 beta out there? By the
I
time
did
this
not.
podcast comes out, it might even be released. And Apple did something quite amazing, and this is especially amazing given the history I just said. They actually allow you to program WebXR apps using WebGPU. So
Ah.
finally, on the Vision Pro, you can use the most modern graphics API to do the most modern way to consume graphics, which is with a headset. Let's be honest. Running a 3D game on a 2D monitor is stupid.
Yeah.
You really want a headset. So I think it's super cool because now if you wanted to do like virtual reality stuff on the web, you had to use this old API because really no one supported it. It wasn't even until like Chrome 135 that even supported this stuff. But now the web has finally advanced and you can do WebGPU with WebXR in Vision Pro. The moment I saw this, I upgraded my Vision OS to 26.2, loaded the very first WebXR WebGPU demo and crashed the operating system.
Nice. Nailed it.
Boom, hard fail.
Nailed it.
And then I found out that the API changed over time, and a lot of the demos online are completely broken. But once I
Uh,
patched up the demos, yeah, I know it's that new. It's that new that like it's hard to even find demos of this stuff. Once I found a correct demo, though, oh, it runs so smoothly. HDR rendering, all the good stuff. So this is just exciting for the VR web and all that stuff. I should say, sorry, I keep talking, but
they're
Apple
good.
still has not implemented augmented reality for the web. There is a web AR in addition to web VR.
Oh,
Apple frustratingly still hasn't implemented the augmented reality stuff, but at least someone who codes a website with virtual reality is now fully consumable in Vision OS, and it's super cool. I've been having fun just writing WebGPU demos and stuff for my
that's
Vision
cool.
Pro. Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
super cool.
yeah, I like the idea. Like we were joking on the previous podcast about like, or maybe on this podcast, or sometime today, we were talking about just like, you know, just kind of just like work, everywhere and do stuff and just kind of like be delightful. And then like now it's like, okay, I made a website, now it's on a thing, and now it's on this thing. It's like, yeah, I want to build this thing. It works here, and now it works on my headset, and it kind of works everywhere. So that's really neat because obviously,
Mm.
like a lot of times, Safari, like even for Zencaster and for StreamYard and stuff, it's like Safari's like, no, like we're not going to implement this thing. We're
Yeah,
not going to do this thing. Like, oh, just implement the thing. Everybody else is doing it. Just
yeah.
one thing. And it's just complicated. So it's nice to see them like kind of fall in line and be like, all right, we're gonna like settle in on this. Is gonna happen.
Yeah, it's so funny. When I first started looking into this, I was impressed that they had WebVR support. I was like, oh, they're never going to have WebGPU. Like, we're talking 5 years minimum, especially because, like, a lot of the other browsers don't even have it. It's really just Chrome out there. Maybe
Yeah,
Edge has it now. So I was amazed to see them so advanced and supporting this thing. So just had to give the props out there. Obviously, they've figured out that supporting good web content is obviously smart for your $3,000 device that you put on your head. It's just
yeah.
smart. So good job, Apple.
Well,
And as a developer, I love it.
and like the joke, now that I remember it, I'm getting pretty tired, but it's like with the super powerful Mac that we like are on all the time. We're just like browsing. We're just browsing Twitter all the time. You know what I mean? We're just browsing.
Yeah,
So it's like, yeah, let me just
it's
browse
terrible.
the thing and do the thing in the browser. Just
Yeah.
let me do it. I love native apps, yes, but not everything is there. I want to experience it everywhere and do a thing and vibe something really cool and fun. So that's cool. I like it.
Yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
especially sorry, I could talk about this forever, but like if you want to do AI stuff, like AI stuff runs with WebGPU. Like
Yeah.
you don't run AI stuff with WebGL. It technically can, but it's terrible. So
Yeah.
this also brings in the ability to integrate like AI stuff into games. So anyway,
Yeah.
just wanted to put that out there.
I
Like
like it.
WebGPU, super cool. I love WebGPU. One last bit of hardware. It's been a hardware pre-winter.
Yeah.
Have you heard of this little company called Velvy with the Steam?
Velvet.
Velvet, a little Pacific Northwest company, Velvet,
Velvet.
has
Yes.
announced new things: a Steam machine, a Steam frame, and a new remote controller or something like that. I don't
Yeah.
really get what that thing is, but
Steam mode.
Steamote. I'm not a super gamer. Everyone knows that, even though I pretend to write games all the time. And by that, I mean I spend way too much time writing games that I never release. Um, but I always dream about being a gamer. And obviously, I'm a big virtual reality and augmented reality freak. I think that that's like the best way to play games. And so it was super cool to see Velvy with their new Steam offerings. They're doing it again. They're building a console, the Steam machine. I'm a little nervous about that. Their last console wasn't that great. and I'm curious how expensive this guy's gonna be. But I was watching reviews on the YouTube, and it looks like a cool little machine. You can print your own covers for it. It's basically a crazy AMD machine thing. It's gonna
Basically a
run
heatsink.
Steam OS. It's a giant heatsink. That's what
Yeah.
the machine is. With a giant fan, it's a giant heatsink and a little video card running in there somehow. Upgradable hard drive somehow.
Hmm.
It looks cool. What do you think about the Steam machine?
Yeah, they did the great thing that a lot of companies are doing today, and they fly in a bunch of creators and influencers, and they build a bunch of content, and everyone is embargoed until a day, and they all put it out at the same time. I watch a lot of the digital Foundry. Do you watch the Digital Foundry?
Oh no, I don't know. Watch that one.
Digital Foundry, they are now independent. They broke away from the Geek Network and IGN. I think they were under IGN. And Digital Foundry you would love because they really break down the deep technicals. That's what they're known for,
Yeah.
is deep technicals of every little thing that you could possibly want to know about the games and frame rates and the GPUs and the RAM and all stuff. Digital Foundry is great. They have super long podcasts, super great clips. They have 2 YouTube channels, Digital Foundry main, Digital Foundry clips as for the podcast clips, all super good. And they go really deep down into everything, side by side comparisons, frame rates, this and that. They've
Awesome.
really dialed it in so much
I'm
that
sure
like
I've seen
people,
videos then. Yeah.
yeah, people reference them from other networks as well. But I watch all sorts of different creators. I never had the Steam box like the other one or the Steam Deck that they have out there, and the thing that they talk a lot about is that when the Steam box originally came out, it was from other vendors that were helping like Alienware and stuff, and they came out with a crazy controller and stuff. And at this point, I don't think SteamOS was ready because the thing with SteamOS, like there's obviously Steam, like the lean back, the big picture mode, if you're on Windows or on Mac or whatever you're on, which is good, but you're running just those apps natively. The difference with the Steam OS is that it's Linux, and then they have an
Proton.
emulation layer
Yeah.
that's called
Proton,
Proton.
isn't it?
Thank you. It's
Yeah.
called Proton, not to be confused with the Proton VPN, but Proton.
It's
And
only so many words in the English language.
so many. So Proton is that layer, and it has gotten extremely good, basically. And there's a whole bunch of open source stuff and things like that. And SteamOS has gotten obviously increasingly better, and so much that the Steam Deck has done fairly well as a handheld.
Mm-hmm. People
And
love it. Real
yeah,
diehards for the Steam Deck. Yeah.
too big for me. Too big.
Okay.
So it's bigger than the Switch 2. It's so big. I always think the Switch 2 is big, and then I look at a Steam Deck. It's so big.
It's an iPad with controllers. Yeah.
It is. It's ginormous. And but great little box. But you are running the Windows, or the PC version of the games, which has its benefits and trade offs. Obviously, it's not fine tuned in. And when the Xbox ROG Ally device came out, which is a handheld Xbox, but running Windows and running a custom Xbox app that can do like kind of full screen custom. It can also run Steam, obviously, as well, and other door fronts. That had a lot of advantages, kind of like very optimized, but it's still running Windows games, right? It's not running Xbox games. It's running Windows games that are in the Xbox store. And what is an Xbox? Everything's an Xbox. My phone is an Xbox. My Mac is an Xbox. I stream games, do all this stuff.
Oh boy.
Everything's an Xbox, but like an
Is my
Xbox
Vision Pro
console.
an Xbox?
It's Vision. Yeah, I'm sure you could xbox.com/stream. You just stream it. It's xCloud or whatever, and then boom. So yeah, just /xCloud or /cloud or whatever. Just stream the games to it. It'll just work fine. Then that works beautifully. With this, yes, SteamOS has come a long ways, and then additionally, I think a lot of lessons learned. Hardware is hard, but it seems as though they took a lot of the things that people like from the Steam Deck, put it into the controller, thought about how these pieces all come together in general, and very seamless. And it's a little box. It's a little box, very cute. You put down, and yeah, AMD processor. People are mostly fighting over if the GPU is more powerful enough or not powerful enough, if the RAM XYZ inside of it. You can buy a 512 SSD or a 2 terabyte. I am just curious what the price is going to be,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And how it's going to compete. It's putting it out there. Is it competing with console? Like, I think, is it competing with the PlayStation or an Xbox Series? I don't know. Maybe they frame it that way.
Yeah.
But are they just more targeting the PC market? Like, I'm not sure. Like, you're going to be able to go to a store and pick up a Steam machine. I think uh, where the Steam Deck, are you competing with the Switch? That it's hard to say. Are you competing with
Yeah.
other Windows handhelds that are out on the market? Maybe. So they're trying to really blend that together. And I love competition in the space coming from the video game background scene, obviously, and love to see more innovation. So I love that there's a lot of smooth lining of the communication layers of the devices. I love the look and feel. It's very cute. It's very small. I love the little LED that they have on the front.
Yeah.
Very smart. I
Physical
don't know about the
progress
head.
bar.
I don't know about the headset and potato, but yeah, it's really cute. I could see
Hang
it
on.
sitting here on my
Hang on.
desk. It's cute.
We gotta talk about that headset because
Oh
that's the
God.
part I'm interested in.
Okay.
I don't like I said, playing a 3D game on a 2D screen seems absurd to me. So you need to experience the full 3D. You need to put something over your eyes. You need to have
I see.
individual screens per eye, and just like you, I'm excited for the frame, but I'm curious about the price because I just went on about my Vision Pro. I'm not. I'm going to stick with my Vision Pro. It's a great device. It runs Mac software. It's easy to develop for. But I do like seeing new VR headsets come out. I like competition in the space, like you were
Yeah.
saying for the machine. I want to see more competition. Right now, it's just like uh, Meta, Sony, and Apple really are producing the decent headsets out there. So it'll be
Yeah.
nice to see if Steam or Valve can produce a good headset. And the specs they released for it are pretty impressive. And it's got some neat technology in it. Like it can actually talk about streaming your video games. It can stream the video games from the Steam machine or your PC or your Mac. And that's a genius way. I really wish
Yeah.
Apple would adopt that, where they're doing like prioritized encoding quality based upon where you're looking in the screen, which is
Yeah.
just
That's
genius.
cool.
Like a
That's
lot of
cool.
cool little tricks like that. Tricks I hope Apple will adopt. Like,
Yeah.
Apple, where's our streaming solution? Like, why do I have to write all the software for the Vision OS itself? Um, those are big business decisions made at the
Yeah.
different pay grades. So I just think the Steam Frame is a very interesting piece of hardware. I feel like it's a premium device though. I don't think it's going to be very cheap. I don't think we're talking about a 300-400 hour device here. I think it's going to be in the $800 or $900. I don't think it'll be as expensive as a Vision Pro because I think they don't want the flack that Apple's receiving for the Vision Pro. But I don't think it's going to be cheap either. But I'm very interested in the Steam Frame.
Yeah, the original Steam Deck came out at like $399, and you can still get one. The OLED is $550, and the 1 TB OLED $640. Obviously, the Nintendo Switch 2 is $450, 500 with a game. Different. These are
Think of the Steam Frame as two Steam Decks though, because it's got to have two screens. It's got to have much more power, much more RAM. Yeah,
and the other part to it, the Steam machine, is it's also much more powerful, but bigger thing.
yeah,
It's outputting 4K, not 1280 by 800, right? And then, the Steam Deck also needs a docking station, right? $80, right? So you're up there already. So it, the it's a interesting proposition. I do like that you can just
yeah,
boot into Linux and you just have a full PC there and just can do stuff
yeah,
on it. That's kind of a nice perk. But install Windows on it if you want. But I don't know. It's hard to compete competitively in that price in the year of our Lord tariffs.
yeah,
And It's a bummer, really, because it would be really cool to have, like, I think when $399 Steam Deck, it seemed expensive. Now it doesn't seem expensive, right? The
yeah.
LCD
Funny how
version,
that works.
but the newer one's obviously more
Yeah,
more competitively priced, up there for the more premium OLED. However, yeah, I'll just be really interested to see where it goes. To be honest with
yeah,
you, and the price, I think that is going to be a distinguishing factor of how it sells, but maybe not. I don't know. The ROG Ally X is $1,000 for a handheld, and
Mhm.
700 or 600 for the non upgraded version. So 600, 800, a
And
thousand. What's the
to your
price?
point, didn't Microsoft themselves say Xbox hardware is going to be premium devices right now, which is business speak for expensive? So I feel like all these prices are going up. So
The
I don't know
X
if any of us are ready for 2026 prices, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean the PlayStation prices have gone up, the Xbox prices have gone up. You can get a Series X starting at 600, refurbished at 500, Series S
Yeah,
at
it's still a lot.
450. I mean, they've
Yeah.
definitely all gone up in
I meant for the
price.
next gen. They
Oh,
said the
that's
next gen's
premium.
going to be premium. Yeah.
Yes, they did say that. So it's all premium all the way down, which I think is a
Well,
bummer, to be honest
yeah.
with you. But what we are seeing is the reverse, which we don't have time to talk about today because I got to go sleep. Got to
Yeah.
get on a flight to Japan, and I'll be home by the time this podcast comes out. So I was coming back from Japan. Um, it's a bummer, although there is this sort of race to emulation and these emulation consoles that you can get for under $100 that can play a lot
Yeah.
of things. So that's fascinating. Who's the target audience for what,
Yeah.
right? And it's interesting to see how it goes. Yeah,
Yep. And last, just to bring it all back around, I'm curious to see if the Steam frame is able to run WebGPU with WebXR.
there you go. That'd
Because
be cool.
as
I
a
like it.
developer, I just want to code against one API and make
There you
life
go.
easier for me.
All right, that's gonna do it for this week's Emerge Conflict, people. So until next time, I'm James Montemagno.
And I'm Frank Kruger. Thanks for watching and listening.
Peace.